Hey, it's been a while. What's going on in the world?
AI, AI with AI, AI with AI.
AI.
Tech has been trying to incorporate AI into everything, and I could understand why. The way that it generates text, images, video, and also does analysis is incredible. But can we just take a minute to ask a very important question? Just how the hell are they going to pay for all of this investment? By the end of 2025, Meta, Amazon, Google, and Microsoft will invest almost 400 billion into AI tech and infrastructure. And that's just this year. Last year, it was 240 billion. And I know AI is extremely useful and the tech is still very new, so there's plenty of room for growth. But 640 billion in 2 years? And that's not the end. These companies still need to spend more on the infrastructure needed for AI for years to come. Isn't it about time all of us asked a very important question? How the hell are they going to recoup all of this AI investment?
I don't know.
Ads, hyper-targeted surveillance advertising is the future of AI. And the best part for tech is that you and I will pay for all of that investment through higher prices for absolutely everything. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. We're going to end up paying for all of this AI investment. And I'm not talking about it in a societal way, how people are getting more brain rot, how they're creating more bubbles for themselves, or how millions of people are going to lose their jobs from AI. I'm just not going to talk about that because for the most part, unless something impacts a person directly, most people won't give a shit. I mean, when's the last time you thought about how a reduced attention span has ruined your life over time? I mean, it's not happening. So today, we're going to talk about how tech is forcing their dream of AI on us because the problem with AI isn't AI. The problem with AI is all the data mining behind it. When most people think of personal data, they think name, address, phone number, social security, bank accounts, logins, and passwords. But that's just the tip of the iceberg. There is so much more when it comes to your data. Take public records, for example. Things like home sales, business filings, voter registration, court documents, marriage licenses or divorces, and personal licenses. All of this information is available for anyone willing to take the steps to get it. And because this is really valuable information, an entire industry called data brokering has emerged to gather and traffic your data. And this industry is really big. How big? Data brokering is a $300 billion a year business, and by 2033, it's expected to surpass $500 billion. Not only do these companies gather your data from public records, but they scrape online activity, credit reports, websites, and loyalty rewards programs in order to harvest as much information on you as possible. The more data they're gathering, the more they make when selling your profile. And just who's buying? Well, anyone from advertisers to insurance companies, law enforcement, your employer, political campaigns, or anyone with an agenda.
A group of wealthy Catholic conservatives in Colorado has been hunting for gay clergy members so they can out them to church leaders. Washington Post broke this story about the group that has spent millions of dollars to purchase data from dating apps in their search for closeted clergy. The organization, called Catholic Laity in Clergy for Renewal, is defending this data tracking as a quote-unquote service to the church. In a blog post yesterday, the group's president acknowledged buying publicly available data from hookup apps and providing bishops with lists of clergy using the apps. The group's disputes the Washington Post claimed that the focus was exclusively on gay priests. They say they were trying to track down any priests using the hookup apps.
If somebody wanted to find you, it's not a question of how. That's the easy part. The only important questions to ask are how badly do they want to find you and how much they're willing to spend.
And we are following breaking news in Minnesota, where the manhunt is now underway for the person who shot and killed a lawmaker and her husband. A second lawmaker and his wife were also shot. The two separate shootings are said to be targeted political violence. Minnesota Governor Tim Walz says that former House Speaker Melissa Hortman and her husband were killed.
And how did the killer get these addresses? Data brokers. Earlier this year, the FTC filed a complaint against Mobile Walla, a data broker that sold profiles containing raw location data, meaning the exact latitude, longitude, and timestamps from people's mobile devices. This company had over 2 billion unique advertising identifiers, such as medical facilities visited, places of worship, and domestic abuse shelters. How do they get this data? By creating a geofence around key places such as pregnancy centers and maternity clinics. This company tracked people who went there, then they created and sold audience segments labeled pregnant women and expected families. But they didn't stop there. They geofenced areas at political rallies, protests, polling places, and state capitals, linking participants' addresses by tracking where they spent the evening. And before you think this was just some small company you've never heard of, Mobile Wallet tracked and sold data on over 200 million devices. This is just one company in an industry worth 300 billion a year. And now that you've gotten a small taste of data collection, let's talk about how companies use your data to make money off of you. And for this example, I'll use gaming, an industry I've been in for the past 17 years that makes $200 billion a year. So we definitely know what we're doing. And typically we deal with two different types of data, general and behavioral. And general data are easy things like name, location, and your device. If you live in the Philippines, Poland, or South America, your purchasing power is likely less than North America, so we'll adjust the price based on what we think we can get out of you. This is really common. Netflix and YouTube offer different prices for every country they're in. And here's another easy one. An Android user makes on average less than an iPhone user, so we'll increase the price for iPhone users.
Can you see this here? I'm using the Zepto. This is an iPhone and this is an Android phone, and there's a huge difference. Like grapes, I'm getting it for 146, and Android phone users getting it for only 65. You can see the cauliflower is 31. Here it's only 20, and here capsicum is 69, and here it's 37. Onions, I'm here it's 39, and here's 47. What the hell is this?
And then there's behavioral data. And this is where the dark arts of product management come into play. Know that anytime you're playing a game, we are tracking absolutely everything. Number of times you're coming in, how long you're playing, wins, losses, go to the shop, everything. We do this so that we can modify the game to user behavior, specifically targeting one group of players, high spenders, generally called whales. Because when it comes to free-to-play games, only 2% of all users pay us, so we track and analyze user behavior in order to answer important questions, like who are the whales? Are they addicted to the game? And more importantly, are they degenerate gamblers? If the answer is yes,
We got one!
we will personalize the game to extract as much value as we can. How? We'll force losses, alter drop rates for mystery boxes, or create a honeypot of whales so they spend more competing against each other. And those are just crude examples. We've developed far more sophisticated methods in order to extract value from users. But that's not our main concern. Our concern isn't about getting a whale to spend. You don't have to encourage a degenerate gambler to gamble. Nah, our main concern is how do we find more whales? If only there was some kind of way where users willingly gave us information about themselves so that we can use this information to find more of their whale friends. Enter the Facebook like button. The like button has allowed Meta to spread their data mining outside of Facebook into any app or site that integrates the Facebook like button. If users link their account to Facebook, it merges their activities within the app to their Facebook profile. Now we can find commonalities amongst whales, including everything they've ever put on Facebook, where they live, their interests, education level, and income.
We happy? Yeah, we happy.
And why would Facebook do this? It's so that they can get more information on how you live your life outside of their platforms. Just think about this. If you spend $10,000 in our game, don't you think other developers might want to know? Every single game developer, app maker, website wants whales. So if Facebook has a treasure trove of all of this user information, they can increase the price whenever they auction off the rights to sell advertisements to you. And I know what some of you are thinking. They were the ones that linked their account to Facebook. I know Facebook is out here selling my information to advertisers. That's why I don't use it. My information is safe.
You sure about that? You sure about that?
Every single product and business decision Meta makes is to capture more data and deliver ads. Move fast and break things used to be their motto, and many times the thing that they broke was the law. Since 2012, Meta has racked up more than 14 billion in settlements and fines for violations of privacy. Don't think that just because you aren't a user, Meta isn't collecting your data. But if you think Meta is bad, just wait until you hear about this little obscure company called Google. Meta is absolutely huge. They're worth $1.6 trillion. But Google, they're worth $3.8 trillion. And why are they so big? It's simple. Nobody in the world needs Meta products to survive. You don't need Facebook, Instagram, or WhatsApp for your everyday survival. But a world without Google? Almost impossible. Their reach is everywhere. They dominate search and navigation, provide services, handle work and productivity needs, they make hardware and software. Google plays a huge part in everyone's life. With Gmail, they own 75% of the entire email market in the US and roughly 2.5 billion active users globally. From the moment of inception, Google gave customers a free and fast email service with just one little catch. It scanned the contents of your emails in order to serve you targeted ads. Then came multiple class action lawsuits, including one in 2010, which claimed Google violated the Wiretap Act of 1986, which claimed that Google's scanning of emails for targeted ads was illegal because this activity had nothing to do with sending emails. For 7 years, Google fought this in court, claiming that users agreed to the terms and services so that everything they did was completely legal. But eventually, they settled out of court and announced that Gmail users would no longer have their emails scanned. But the very next year, in 2018, the Wall Street Journal reported that while Google may not be scanning your emails directly, they allowed hundreds of approved third party developers to do it. Because buried deep in their terms and conditions, Google claims that you allowed them to do it. And because their terms and conditions apply to all of their products, Chrome and Search have become their crown jewels for data mining. Chrome accounts for almost 72% of all browsers and 90% of search worldwide. This means Google has comprehensive data on almost all online activity worldwide. Your entire search history, how long you stay, how many times you visit, your exact location, and more importantly for them, how you interact with the ads they show you. Now, some of you are thinking, that's why I use Incognito Mode. I don't get tracked. You should know, Incognito only deletes the local copy of your search and browsing history. It doesn't prevent Google, your service provider, or any websites you visit from tracking you. In fact, a 2020 class action lawsuit stated that Google misled users into believing that their internet activities weren't being tracked while using Incognito. Google fought this lawsuit for 3 years before finally settling in 2023, agreeing to delete billions of data records from users while they used Incognito. What about YouTube? Some claim that it's effectively the world's second most important search engine, right behind Google Search. Whether or not that's true is debatable. But what's not debatable is Google's ability to track your habits and preferences. Similar to Chrome, YouTube tracks all manners of your data. Every video you watch, time spent watching, hovering over thumbnails, every like, share, save, and comment you make is tracked. Not only does Google use this data to adjust your feed, showing you what it thinks you'll like, but now that they know what you've searched for, they'll know your interests, music preferences, and can likely predict who you find familiar, attractive, or trustworthy due to repeated views. And Maps? Come on now. It knows where you live, work, has all your contacts, restaurants, shops, holiday destinations, anywhere you go or want to go, Google has it. Their terms of service allows the tracking of your device at all times, whether or not you're even using the app. And for everything it tracks, Google's privacy policy for photos is pretty good.
Pretty good. Pretty good.
I mean, they got sued for illegally collecting and storing images of people's faces and had to pay a $100 million settlement.
Why you bringing up old shit?
But because of that, Google says your photos aren't being used for ads or training any generative AI models. That is, until they change their minds and update their terms and services.
I am altering the deal. Pray I don't alter it any further.
Let's take the case of OneHealth.io, commonly known as Vitagene, a DNA health test kit that provided customers with a report on their health, wellness, and ancestry. The company claimed that it had rock-solid security, but in 2020, the company changed its privacy policy and retroactively expanded the sharing of users' DNA data to third parties such as supermarket chains, nutrition, and supplement manufacturers, all without notifying or getting consent from its users. And sadly, Vitagene weren't the only ones.
My disappointment is immeasurable, and my day is ruined.
BetterHelp, an app that connects users to counselors for various mental health issues, claimed that customers should rest assured your health information and your email address is kept strictly private. But in reality, BetterHelp sold users' data to Facebook, Snapchat, Criteo, and Pinterest after promising to keep their private data safe.
So that was a fucking lie.
And what sort of private data did they sell? Email and IP addresses, mental health statuses,
I'm not finished.
counseling and therapy history, and a self-evaluation of users' financial status. In total, BetterHelp sold 7 million users' personal information to Facebook. And, of course, Facebook doing Facebook things linked over 4 million of these users to their Facebook user IDs. Why?
Why treat the customer this way? Why? Because fuck them, that's why.
A study by Duke University found that of the 37 data brokers contacted, 10 were selling not only mental health data, like profiles with depression, attention disorder, insomnia, and more, but also personal data like ethnicity, age, gender, zip code, religion, and more. Your personal information is incredibly valuable. Companies will do anything they can to mine your data. And it's not for some grand conspiracy cooked up by the Illuminati to control our minds or anything. It's for something far simpler.
This thing is bigger than Nino Brown. This is big business. This is the American way.
I've worked in free-to-play games for the past 17 years, and I know that I've done my fair share of scummy things in order to make money off of users. I fully admit that. But shit, never in my wildest dreams would I think it would be a good fucking idea to sell people's mental health data for money. And some of you are probably thinking, well, that's the deal with the devil, right? We get access to free products like Google, Facebook, Instagram, and in return, we give them our data and then they sell us ads. There's no free lunch, right? But what if this product weren't free? What if you had to spend tens of thousands, even hundreds of thousands for it, and they still took and sold your private information?
What's that expression? No.
In their 2023 research paper titled Privacy Not Included, the Mozilla Foundation reviewed 25 different car brands, and every single one of them collected more personal data than necessary, and used that information for reasons other than to operate your vehicle or manage the relationship with you. All of your car's mics, computers, cameras, and GPS systems have transformed it into the ultimate surveillance machine. In fact, of all the categories Mozilla researched for privacy, cars were the worst product category they have ever reviewed.
The world She's the worst in the world.
Of the 25 brands reviewed by Mozilla, 84% share your personal data with service providers, data brokers, and other random businesses. And 76% said it would sell your data outright. And it's damn hard to opt out of this data collection. Every time you use your car's infotainment system, download a companion app, use Bluetooth, or enable certain features, you're agreeing to their terms of service. And this doesn't just affect the owner of the car. Subaru's privacy policy allows them to take and sell data collected on anyone in the car. And if you want to opt out of data collection from your Tesla, it may result in your vehicle suffering from reduced functionality, serious damage, or inoperability. And just out of curiosity, what kind of data are these cars collecting on us? You know, standard stuff: name, address, number, email. But of course, that's not enough, so they mine a little bit deeper: your driver's license, social security, passport,
But wait! There's more!
account numbers, debit and credit card, leasing, and billing info. It'll also take your marital status, contacts, nationality, citizenship, your sex life, and a whole host of others. And I wish that were the end, but it's not. It'll also take your biometric data too: a full scan of your face, fingerprints, voice, iris, and retinal scans.
What the fuck?
And how do they get that info? Don't forget, once you connect your phone, they'll claim that their terms of service give them the absolute right to take whatever they want. Oh, I almost forgot. They'll log your driving data too, because this is a car after all. So your exact location, route history, weekly commute, vehicle speed, accelerator use, everything. But who's buying your driving information, like accelerator use and hard braking? I mean, what are they doing with this data?
Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
That's right, car insurance companies. And why would they want information on how you drive? To raise your rates, of course. Once they comb through the hundreds of pages detailing your exact driving habits, oh, they'll find a way to raise your rates.
This is it. More than 200 pages, most of it from General Motors data about her driving from the onboard computer in her car. So this is it.
This is it.
Hundreds of pages.
Hundreds of pages. This is my LexisNexis Consumer Disclosure Report. I'm appalled.
Over the past few years, car insurance rates have soared. Ask yourself this question: have my car insurance rates gone up in the past couple of years, even though my driving habits are the same, I have the exact same car with no accidents and no tickets? Car insurance companies have you over a barrel when it comes to pricing because you need insurance to drive. It's the law. And in the US, that's roughly 91% of everyone who's of driving age. So they can raise the price to the absolute limit and you have no alternative but to pay. And this pricing strategy is only a taste of what's to come. So let's recap what we know. Data brokers and companies like Facebook and Google are harvesting our data anytime we use any modern products. So let's take a look at what these companies are building and calling AI. ChatGPT, Gemini, Claude, and Copilot are all chatbots. At its core, it predicts and generates text quickly. AI also generates pictures and videos, and over the past few years, it's gotten pretty good. So good, in fact, that on a phone, it's really difficult to tell real from fake. And finally, analysis. It's able to take massive amounts of data and provide fairly reasonable analysis within seconds. And while not perfect, this type of analysis would take humans days or weeks to accomplish. So AI is able to analyze data, generate images, text, and video within seconds. This is the perfect recipe for ad generation. And when you combine the treasure trove of information that Google and Meta have on us, we're not very far from AI-generated, hyper-targeted ads served in real time. This is an advertiser's absolute dream: real-time responsiveness, scalability, and automation. But you might be wondering, of all the things that AI could do, why ads? A couple of reasons. First and foremost, for Meta and Google, ads aren't a portion of their business, ads are their primary business. For Google, ads represented 75% of their revenue. In the second quarter of 2025, Google's total revenue was 96.5 billion. That's roughly 72 billion from ads every 3 months. For Meta, ads are 98% of their business. So it's not just their core business, it's their entire business. As for Amazon, well, having better ads to lure you to buy things on their site is pretty obvious, no? And Microsoft? They're OpenAI's largest shareholder. If they can get companies to integrate ChatGPT and Sora for advertising, it would be a huge win for their enterprise AI business. Enterprise sales is how all of these companies will make their AI revenue. OpenAI, Google, Meta cannot, I repeat, cannot recoup the trillions they're going to invest by selling regular consumer subscriptions. They just can't. Here's why. OpenAI recently bragged that they have over 800 million weekly active users, with consumer subs totaling 15.5 million and enterprise subs at 1.5 million. ChatGPT is the world's most famous chatbot, and it's the most used, and they could only manage 2% of their users to turn into payers. That's the same conversion rate as free-to-play games, with one little exception. We didn't spend the GDP of a large country in development. Recently, OpenAI stated that it'll make 20 billion this year, which sounds great until you see the amount of spend it's committed to over the next 10 years.
$1 million.
$1 trillion. Oh, wait, that was October. What was it as of November? 1.4 trillion.
What?
At 20 billion in yearly revenue, and let's assume it's all pure profit, it'll still take OpenAI 70 years in order to make up $1.4 trillion. And let's say they can grow the business 10% every single year. It'll still take them 20 years to recoup $1.4 trillion. Do you think any investor out there is patient enough to wait that long for zero return on their investments?
Bitch better have my money.
Even if OpenAI gets more subscribers and increases prices when they introduce erotica, consumer subs will never bring them enough revenue to recoup all of that spend. So they're gonna need to focus on enterprise. And focusing on enterprise is a no-brainer for Google and Meta. They're advertising companies. So pretty soon, if you want to go on holiday in Greece, you'll see AI-generated ads tailored specifically for you, based on your search history, income level, and any other data sets that they have on you.
Did you design Ava's face based on my pornography profile?
Oh, shit, dude.
Did you? Hey, if a search engine's good for anything, right?
And despite all of this, some of you out there are still thinking, well, what's the harm in advertisers giving me exactly what I want?
What? I see this as an absolute win.
Here's the kicker. Focusing on ads won't be enough. Trillions will have been invested into AI development and infrastructure. So even focusing on ads, though wildly profitable, the current model won't work. Because of the amount of money spent, investors are going to want to see significant returns. And just for a company to increase its revenue by 5 or 10% won't be enough.
I gotta pump those numbers up. Those are rookie numbers in this racket.
All of this AI investment is going to need to see something that dramatically increases revenue. And that something is going to be AI-generated ads combined with dynamic pricing using your personal data to make sure that you pay more for everything.
Right.
Everybody's familiar with dynamic pricing. In the peak season, hotels, flights, and theme parks charge a little bit more, and in the off-season, they charge a little bit less. But this is a major problem for sellers because they leave a lot of money off the table, because every single person has different levels of expendable income. So if people actually made more Wouldn't it be great if they were actually charged more? Wouldn't it be great if you could actually see potential customers and cross-reference how much money they had in order to charge them the utmost that you could? Wouldn't that be fantastic?
How about no?
And while dynamic pricing might cause some prices to go down due to a lack of demand, what do you think the chances are, given an opportunity to raise prices, that they'll go down? Very unlikely. And how do I know? I have a long list of receipts.
From Constellation Brands, which sells beer, wine, and spirits.
We're going to look at this on a market-by-market basis, brand-by-brand basis, and we'll take as much pricing as we think the consumer can absorb.
Purveyor of 1 out of every 5 pounds of beef, chicken, and pork sold in the U.S. Here's Tyson's chief financial officer on their latest quarterly results.
Our pricing actions led to approximately $2.1 billion in sales and price mix benefit during the quarter, which offset the higher cost of goods sold of $1.6 billion.
Remember a couple years back when prices shot up due to inflation?
We view a little bit of inflation as always good in our business. We would expect to be able to pass that through.
And we know if we need to take more pricing, we have room to do it. To date, we've seen no resistance from our customers.
I'm really pleased our sales teams have gotten much better at pricing than ever in the history of the company. We're not going to be giving this pricing back. Now it's not a matter of can we take a price increase? Now it's about how much of a price increase are you going to take?
And if increasing the cost on basic necessities weren't enough, they think you can spend more on entertainment.
For you, music is a better business, though, than selling tickets for sports.
Music has been underappreciated. You know, I always joke, sports, it's like a badge of honor to spend 70 grand for a Knicks courtside. They beat me up if we charge 800 for Beyonce, right? So the concert is underpriced. I mean, we have a lot of runway left.
We're not just doing this for money. We're doing it for a shitload of money.
And even if your life is on the line, know that companies like Uber and Lyft have their priorities absolutely clear.
Rideshare companies are under fire tonight for raising prices while people were trying to flee the gunfire.
Anger and frustration from rideshare customers caught in the middle of last night's shootings. While police were converging on scene looking for a gunman, people were trying to flee. Lyft and Uber instituted surge pricing. Customers took to Twitter to complain, with one woman showing how her ride from downtown to West Seattle was $122.43.
This is my exact route that I took last night under normal circumstances.
At 5:31, Lyft was charging her $28.30 to escape the chaos downtown.
I think that Lyft did force people to make a choice between their own safety and paying excessive amounts of money.
Surge pricing has been an ongoing issue since at least 2014. Rideshare prices surged during a bombing in New York, terrorist attacks in London, and a hostage crisis in Sydney.
To take advantage of a high need, like a high demand, due to an active shooter situation is terrifying, because it's terrifying to think of the highest bidder getting access to safety while the rest of us are forced to sit there.
Whenever a company smells an opportunity to increase prices, they're taking it.
You smell that? What is that?
What?
What's that smell?
A cologne?
No.
Opportunity.
No. Money.
Oh, okay.
I smell money.
So what do you think is going to happen when a company knows exactly who's looking for their product, combined with a detailed overview on how much that person makes and what they can afford? And this isn't some tech that's in the near distant future. It's already rolling out.
Next time you go online to purchase an airline ticket, there's a chance that the price you see was influenced by artificial intelligence. Delta Airlines is the first major carrier to begin to use AI technology to set ticket fares. It's the latest development in an industry that's been experimenting with different ways to adjust ticket prices in real time.
Think about this scenario. Let's say you had a death in the family and you had to get from LAX to Amsterdam on November 13th. What do? Well, first you take a look at flights and then you buy, right? But what about the price you're paying? Is it good? Airline pricing is already convoluted, but now the price may be influenced by a number of things, such as how did you find out about the funeral? Email? Social media? You also did a Google search and then went to Delta. That search may have been a paid ad. And when you click on that ad, Delta knows that you have to be in Amsterdam on a specific date. So, what do you think will happen to the price? Of course, Delta is claiming that they're not currently pricing at an individual level yet. And that's really the key word, yet, because it's only a matter of time before they and others do it.
I think it's fair to say an industry that treats its customers worse than almost any other besides private prisons, right? And I'm talking about airlines, obviously. It's already the most convoluted and difficult to understand pricing structure that you can imagine. They do this purposely to hurt their consumers, right? And they're going to make it worse with AI. How's this possible?
This kind of confusing feeling where you don't know whether you're getting a good deal today or tomorrow. Maybe if you wait, it'll be a better deal. Maybe if you hold off. They want to make it actually way more complicated. And you know, as Delta has talked about, you know, AI pricing, they've talked about it as this great thing because from an investor point of view, right, it makes sense. Investors love being able to raise incremental revenue, and they also love AI right now. I think most people who watch the industry assume that everyone will do this because it's going to be a powerful tool essentially to raise additional revenue. See if you'll pay, hey, maybe you'll pay $20 more for that ticket, maybe $40 more. And that was actually the example that Delta gave during an investor day. I think you're going to see a lot of stories like this because this isn't only happening in airlines. And that's one of the points one of the people I talked to for the story made. We're seeing AI and pricing in other places. Of course, you know, you see it when you do ride hailing. And there are efforts underway. This company that is working with Delta right now and some other airlines is trying to go to other businesses. The idea is to bring this, you know, most of us think of, you know, oh, we're going to have super intelligence and it's going to cure cancer. Maybe, hopefully. But what it's actually going to do is just, you know, figure out how to wring a couple of extra dollars out of consumers because it's going to be able to hopefully, from the point of view of the companies, price things more aggressively.
And that's the quiet part out loud. All of the hype heralding the coming of AI as everything everywhere all at once is an absolute fantasy. In reality, AI is transforming into an advertising and dynamic pricing engine to make you pay more for everything. Because why rely on $20 a month subscriptions when you could get people to pay $50 extra for a flight, $100 extra for a hotel, $300 extra for tickets to a concert? That's what AI is turning into because that's where the money is. Why do you think they've put all of this investment into it if they're not going to see a return? Investors aren't stupid.
I need that money. I missed the part where that's my problem.
Here's another scenario. Let's say your baby is coughing in the middle of the night. What do? You're probably going to ask Google what baby medicine helps, right? And then Google knows you're looking for baby medicine in the middle of the night. And then they ask their advertisers, hey, I've got somebody looking for baby cough medicine at 3 a.m. Which one of you wants to pay to show an ad to this person? Your local pharmacy wins, and then you see that ad. Now you're going to drive over there, and because they know exactly who you are, they've likely linked your Google search with their rewards program. So the minute you walk in the door, they know who you are and how much you're willing to pay. And you're desperate looking for baby cough medicine, they'll probably charge you an extra $10, $15, $20 over the price. Because what are you going to do? Let your baby cough all night? You're what the market calls a captive audience. But how are they going to change the price on me in store? Increased surveillance and electronic shelf labels, of course, both of which have been rolling out in the past few years. And while companies like Kroger claim it's not being used for things like dynamic pricing, how long do you think it'll be before they do? And before you think, thankfully I make enough money so these surveillance prices won't affect me, you might be in for a rude awakening, because your employer wouldn't want to miss out on this surveillance-fueled cash grab either. Companies like ShiftKey, makers of an app that links traveling nurses to jobs, purchases financial information on their users from data brokers so they can cross-reference their financial situation before showing pay scales for shifts. So if you have credit card debt, a mortgage, car payments, or just have less money in your bank account, ShiftKey can offer you lower wages because they know you're desperate. And if all of this isn't terrible enough, Tech companies are rushing to convince everyone that what you need is agentic AI. And what is agentic AI? Tech companies want you to think that it's a Jarvis type assistant like the one used by Iron Man, where AI can do everything for you. Get an Uber, order food, plan and book a holiday, everything under the sun. Sounds fantastic, right? But first, there's this tiny little insignificant detail. They need full and complete access to all of your private information.
Oh no, super easy, barely an inconvenience. Great.
Because how do you think this thing will work? How do you think it's going to be able to order food, book hotels and flights without complete access to your information? Just know that whenever anybody is saying they're building agentic AI, what they're really saying is they want full and complete access to all of your data.
Hell no!
And hopefully by now, you're thinking that all of this data mining isn't good. Luckily, there's a few steps that you can take to reduce your exposure. First and foremost, no Meta products. Delete WhatsApp, IG, and Facebook from all of your devices and request that they delete your account and data. In fact, no social media period. The same goes for Google products. For browsing and search, you can use Tor or Brave. To replace Gmail, use Proton. For maps, use a standalone navigation device that doesn't need a subscription, and carry a notebook for all of your contacts, calendar, and notes. Don't use cloud services, build yourself a server at home. For messaging, use Signal. Use a VPN like Molvad. To replace Office, try Libra. And speaking of Office, you may want to ditch Windows altogether for Linux. For movies and music, I suggest buying CDs and Blu-rays again. As for your car, it's best to switch to something made before the mid-90s. And lastly, don't use a smartphone. But if you absolutely must, get an old-fashioned flip phone like Sunbeam. Or I don't know, maybe we should have laws preventing these companies from taking our information without permission? Look, I know it sounds bleak, but I had to let everybody know what's going on with AI and data mining, because it's going to impact each and every one of us. If you don't like what's going on, we're going to have to come together and get some laws passed to protect us. No one is coming to save us. We're going to have to band together and do this ourselves. The most impactful thing we can do is hurt these companies' bottom line. No company will change if money continues to pour in. They'll only listen when their share prices fall. And I wish I can call for some kind of global boycott and have people move off Google products tomorrow. But I can't. To go off big tech like Amazon, Microsoft, and Google overnight is completely unrealistic. But alternatives exist, and if any of what I said bothers you, all I'm asking for you to do is to evaluate your situation and see whether or not you could actually move off of these big tech platforms that are taking your data. Over the next few months, I'm going to do the same. I'm going to take a look at my emails, storage, entertainment, everything, to see if I can move off of these big tech platforms. And I know the cost of switching is really painful. It's designed to be painful so you don't switch. But every lost user matters, and eventually it'll be one too many. Every step we take in this direction will push our lines forward to getting these companies to change. The second thing to do is to write to your local representatives and ask them for a nationwide data privacy protection law, similar to Europe's GDPR, widely considered the gold standard for data privacy. GDPR gives EU residents the right to access their own personal data, to correct it, delete it, and restrict how it's being used. I know a lot of people and organizations ask you to write to your local representatives, and it seems like a lot of work, and you don't even know whether or not they'll listen. But before I got into tech, I was a US history teacher. Constant pressure and protests from people is how we got nice things in the US. The right to vote, civil rights, an 8-hour workday, weekends, child labor laws, Social Security, Medicaid, Medicare, consumer protections, the American Disabilities Act. Shit, even clean air and water was only made a priority because it was hard fought and won by people coming together and demanding it. We need comprehensive data protection laws, or else these tech companies will continue to do whatever they want with our private information.
We currently live under a privacy regime where companies have taken the position that they can basically do whatever they want so long as they disclose it in their privacy policy. Over the last 4 years at the FTC, we took a number of steps to try to push back against that. We told GoodRx they couldn't share sensitive medication information with Facebook, even if consumers clicked yes. We told BetterHelp it couldn't share with advertisers what mental health treatments people were seeking. We told Amazon Ring that its employees couldn't spy on people who were using their security cameras. But I can tell you, Senator, that every case we brought, when I would meet with counsel for those companies, they would tell us the same thing. Well, we put it in our privacy policy, so it's legal. I think our enforcement, the FTC's enforcement, and state enforcement and privacy enforcement would be far more effective with bright line rules on what companies can collect, how they can use it, and with whom it can be shared. Without that, you're going to continue to see a whack-a-mole approach that doesn't do enough to protect Americans' privacy.
If we don't band together and fight tooth and nail to get comprehensive data privacy protection laws in place, everything I talked about in this video will come true. Privacy will be a thing of the past because surveillance pricing is coming for everything and everyone. And if you think the cost of living is high now, just wait until surveillance pricing kicks in, because there's nothing stopping tech from doing it because there's so much money to be made from it. So try to go off their platforms. Write that letter to your representative. In this video's description, I'll have a template to get that writing started. So get as many people involved as possible. Share this video. We need everybody on board because there's far more of us than there are of them. Together we can do it. All we need to do is try.